Since last night's events of a spiritual attack and the reading this morning I actually did for myself, asking about such event, and it was beautiful in itself. It was a great experience, great experience after a really really negative experience. I've had a lot of positive readings this today, like a lot of content coming up. And the thing is, I think majority of people just don't understand the journey. So it's easy, I think, to look on and think, oh, why that person? Why that person? Or, I could do that. I could do it. It's not a competition. And if you could, you should. That's the thing. It's easy to look at people and think, oh, I could do it. It's easy for people to say that without doing anything, you know? I have to walk the walk. And what people don't realize is, like, I know my journey inside out. I know every aspect of it. I know what I'm supposed to do. I even know what's going to happen in this lifetime. And I know how the life I will have. I know the various stages. So sometimes I get frustrated in within specific ones when I know that timeline has to end because we have to. I know the next one's coming, and I know what comes next. So yeah, that's what. So I get really frustrated. But there's so many nuances to it all. It's going to be effectively people that get left behind from the past will feel bitter and resentful because they knew an old version, the old version that had to be torn away, the old version that was like I evolved way beyond it, and it bothers them because none of them grew. So if people had grown and they had been in alignment, then they would be coming with me. But effectively, the reality is, it's for people to pave their own path. You can't watch someone doing well for themselves and being successful and growing, and then feel bitter and resentful that you don't get to come with when you should be creating your own path anyway. If you want to establish yourself and do well in life, it's like you have to achieve that goal for yourself. You can't just latch on to people and expect them to do the work. And then you go, oh, I just missed the opportunity. You was never meant for the opportunity. That's why it's coming. It's coming because I removed these people from my life. I'm going to meet other new people, and it's about growth and evolution. In the same way, other people should be striving for that in their own lives too. Look, I'm not going to keep discussing. The thing with me is, I discuss to a point, but then there's got to be a period where I don't feel the need to so much. I personally think the culmination is going to come from my next spiritual book. I think at that point, people maybe will take notice of what I'm talking about because it'd be more concise and they can read it in a specific order. Whereas maybe on social media channels, people just see a snippet here and a snippet there, and they don't really know the full extent of it all. Maybe by putting it into a book, people will get to see and hear. Um, Everything how it's supposed to be heard, I think. So I'm going to only give little glimpses now because I think it's the only way I'm going to get people ever going to make sense, whether they want to believe it or not. I come here for a big purpose so my human experience is a bit different to the majority. Now, I didn't know this for most of my life. I've just unlocked it and recognized as I go. And I get signs and recognition from spirit source. And I get an awful lot of challenges as well. Yeah, an awful lot of challenges. So effectively, in this lifetime, I'm going to live multiple lives. That's a big thing to say, but I'm witnessing it firsthand myself. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I don't want to say I can overcome things that others can't because it's a big statement to make, and I don't think that's necessarily true to an extent. But I think I can overcome more than the majority of people could overcome. Now there might be people that could overcome things, but again, a lot of people are just self-defeating, so they don't. CCC could do something, but it's like, did you do it? That's really where it comes. Like it's like actions speak louder than words. So like I stand by what I say. I do it. I lived it. So when we say live multiple lifetimes, if you go like I'm not. This isn't like feeling sorry for self. It's like understanding the journey. Though they often say those with a big purpose often have maybe a more challenging childhood. It's not a given, but that's one of the markers. So it's going to be hard for me to cover every little thing, and I don't really want to make this long-winded because it weren't really where I was going with this video. There's a video I want to show a reading specifically, which got me triggered to do this one. So amongst my siblings, for instance, I was the one who didn't have my natural father. So everybody else had access to both parents, because we had a step. So it's a step parent. So then half of us were like naturally my mother's, the other side were naturally my stepdad's. So they had, but then they all knew their natural parent, whereas I never got mine. So that made me different to the rest of my family. Effectively, even my brothers and sisters were only really ever my half brother and sister. So it's just a bit different that way. When my daughter was conceived, she was nearly aborted. Her mother wanted to abort the pregnancy. It was a whole thing, and it's just only at the very last minute she changed her mind. Um, through our relationship and things, there was reached a point where the homeowner wanted to sell the property, so they were trying to evict us. In the end, we was homeless, but not really, not in the homeless sense of being on the street, but we didn't have our own space for like 9 months. It was driving us mental. Literally had to stay in my parents' bungalow. They'd relocated to a bungalow by then. We literally didn't have a room of our own. It's like 2 kids and us as a couple, and there's a like, big dining table behind the sofa, and literally we're having to sleep, put a mattress down the one end, like a kid's mattress that they had to share at the end, and then we would just put stuff down for us behind the sofa. It was a nightmare for 9 months. It was like soul destroying. You know, you want to sleep, they've got the telly on. It's like all these little things. You don't have private space. No, someone on the street's got it worse. I get it, but it's not easy when you've got pets and your kids. So these are little things along the way, you know. And then I'm dealing with. I don't want to keep pointing out someone's life. If people know more in my books, but I'm not going to pick at it. It's effectively had to support someone through very serious mental health issues. It was like become suicidal. That was hard when you're trying to balance all the other issues that are going on in your daily life. You know, there's a level of frustration because I can't live my life on my terms. I can't be successful career-wise because I'm needed at home. So then I was always criticized as being lazy. I always had this accusation levied at me, you know, that I'm not doing good enough. I should be doing more. Meanwhile, I'm trying to keep someone alive, and I'm trying to keep the kids happy and content. I'm taking care of the home needs. You know, you don't get recognition, and you definitely don't get money. You know, it was hard, but you sacrifice, you know, for what you love, and that's literally what was happening. But no one gave me recognition for it. If anything, I was just getting people just resenting me for it. It was ridiculous because I was the one sacrificing beyond the currency of money, whereas everybody else was acting like they was doing loads just because they earned money. It was like, this isn't making sense to me. Would any of you give up money to do this? No. So then what the hell are you doing? You know, it's like this. Then it's like, then my daughter was taken away by her mother. I don't want to go deep into this because I just can't bother to go through it all. It's in my books, and that's kind of why I wrote the books in the first place. I don't have to keep talking about it. I don't want to keep reliving it. I've moved on. Yeah, that the heartache and heartbreak of that was only in 2017, 7 years ago. But that was the beginning of it. That wasn't like the end. You know, we're talking about the very beginning stages of this now. So then the 2017 is when she took her. So we had to go through family court for like a year and a half. It was an absolute nightmare, off and on contact, even though we were inseparable. So I had to deal with parental alienation. Look, I've never been suicidal, but I kid you not, that pushed me would push me to the brink. Didn't get me to there, but it pushed me to the brink where I was like heavy and I was struggling. So I'm having to fight in court, and I'm like fighting for everything for my daughter. I'm fighting against a lot of accusations. I was accused of emotional abuse. That's what I was accused of. For them to get what they wanted, they used that as effectively. I don't want to go too deep into that, but to posture themselves as not being weak, they had to make me weak, effectively. So the best way to bring me down was to try to destroy me, pretty much. No care at all for the ramifications of every side of that. So I'm fighting for my daughter's future, our future together. Meanwhile, I'm also fighting against false accusations, which obviously affects the relationship and the judgments that get made along the way. So I'm constantly fighting against these absurd accusations that just kept slowing our relationship and slowing proceedings, which is why it took so long. In the end, the judge had an awful lot of respect for me, and it was marginal where she lived, but because time had gone on for so long and she has a sister, it was deemed at the very end, as close as it was, that she would stay where she was. And that really upset my daughter, to be honest. And, you know, she's always craved to be home. And again, I'm not here to go through all this shit because it does me head in all honesty. You know, I'm spiritual. Spirit has a plan. And I recognize that because it started me on my spiritual awakening, unbeknown to me. It was 2020, so a couple of years later, I'd really wrote my first book. Again, this is the beginning stages now. I've gone from my worst trauma, is now instigated my biggest transformation. So it didn't bury me. It just made me stronger and more resilient. I started looking at different angles and things, and I just started finding that divinity in myself, and I found the light. You know, it was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on me now. and I'm going to make my daughter proud. That was where that come from. And again, along the way, I figured things out through experience. I started to realize I can't put the weight of my life on my daughter. I have to focus on me too, because otherwise she will grow up and I'll be needing her all the time, and it's not fair. She should be free. Anyway, there's a load of little connotations with all this. Um, so then eventually, after a couple of the books were done, I relocated 100 miles away, so very much on my own, isolated. I've had to find local jobs and things, mucking, just getting. Effectively, it's all foreign. It's all foreign. You just get on with it. Started my immense spiritual journey, and that's been really what's been groundbreaking. Really, I've had to that's pushed me to the brink and back for many times, because you're literally having to keep cleansing and cleansing and cleansing. It's literally just shedding the layers away to the point where now it's not a case of needing to forgive anyone. You just draw a line in the sand and just move on. There's no bitterness. Whereas in the past there was an awful lot of bitterness and arguments with all those involved in the chaos that's been my life. But it's coming to an end now, to the point where I'm transitioning on to the next phase. So when I talk about living multiple lifetimes in one life, it's literally going to be such a lifetime. It's crazy. So I'm 41 years old. I think I get lost with time, and it's been prophesied. I'll do good things. I'll help people in this lifetime. So it's quite crazy that the first half of my life was quite traumatic, and then the second half of my life should be far more blissful. But of course, there'll always be people that are jealous, envious, and there'll always be spite. There'll always be this. It's like, I don't think anyone can ever do good by some people. It's just no matter what you do, there's always someone that's just jealous, and it's unreal, because people should be inspired to improve their own lives and overcome. It's quite sad that you go through your worst trauma, you outgrow it, and you navigate beyond it to the point where I've shared my story and I've shared what I've learned throughout that journey. On a personal level and a spiritual level. The books are separated so people can learn and figure out for what they want. And I've shared that because I didn't want to gatekeep. I realized how strong I am, and I recognized how vulnerable other people are. And I just thought, you know what? Some people just don't have a positive role model. So I'm going to share how I'm strong, my thought processes and outcomes and all sorts. And hopefully it'll help people, inspire them to be stronger. And I think it's quite sad that you can go through all that, and then maybe you still got people that are bitter towards you, or they're jealous, and it's like, that doesn't even make sense to me. How can it make someone feel better for you to suffer? It doesn't make sense. How cruel is that? And it's like, just because they're people insecure, that's all that comes down to, just an insecurity. They can't dare to think that someone else can overcome something that they're going through, because it makes them feel weak that they're not doing it. And literally everybody can. You've just got to you just got to switch your mindset from being the victim to learning. Everything's a learning exercise. Even your worst traumas, there's something to learn in it. You overcome it, you transcend it, you move on to a better life. You stay dwelling in it, guess what you do? You keep repeating the pattern. You just stay there, don't you? It's crazy. So I've got a big calling on my life, which I've figured out as I go, of course. And again, this is where it gets annoying, because it's like, you've got a big purpose. It's like, I'm not going to say I didn't ask for it, because before we come here, I must have agreed this thing. The real problem is people attach themselves too much to the meat suit. So they just say, they think naturally, again, what this person said in the video, people think, why you? And it's like, you're asking why me on the physical. You're not asking why me in the spiritual. And again, it's not for me to say, because I don't know exactly, but I have a feeling I'm very high ranked in the spiritual realm, only because, again, I've talked so many times. I had Archangel Michael rebuking me last year because I wasn't doing something good enough. And you don't do that unless you have an expectation of someone. So I feel I'm in training for something serious on the other side once this lifetime's ended, and they need a lot from me in this lifetime to go through all these stages. I've also had it confirmed that this potentially is my last lifetime, if I choose for it to be. I've had that confirmed. And most people don't have a last lifetime yet. They've got more to evolve. So they will have multiple lifetimes in different places. It won't always be Earth. But that's life. That's it. That's the experience of the soul. So when someone says, why you? It's like, well, why not? If I'm a high-ranked soul, for instance, and I've come here as a warrior, I consider it a warrior of light. So I'm here to instigate a profound change, to help impact positively humanity. It's a big statement to make. I just look at me. I don't boost an ego. I don't sit here like smiling while I say it. I'm just saying it as what I know. But you got to take away the fact that if anything, it's like sometimes you say that, like, Why that person? Then, well, why not? Well, if not me, who? You know, it's like when you do it that way, how can it doesn't matter who it is unless it's you, you know? That's where it gets stupid. And then it's like, well, how strong are you? If you keep getting addictions and stuff and you keep making excuses, of course you're not strong enough to handle it. I don't like to say that where someone wouldn't be strong enough to walk a mile in my shoes. I get a lot of signs saying that, but I don't really like that. And it's like people just need to stop being the victim and then maybe they could walk in that shoe. And that's the thing. I don't make excuses. I get fed up just like everybody else, but I pick myself up and I keep moving forward. And I recognize how relentless I am in the speed in which I transition. So I have a big soul purpose that goes beyond local stuff. But I also get signs that I was the one chosen in my bloodline to instigate a profound change on our generation, on the generations to come. So literally, I'm the generational curse breaker because they knew I could. I'm relentless, and I wouldn't back down. I wouldn't be tempted by by anything foolish. I have high morals for justice, so they knew I would make sure that I succeed in whatever it is I set my mind to. That's a sign I get. I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that's the sign I get. And I find it quite funny that a lot of my family, for instance, I've got a bit of issue at the minute with some of them, and it's like they can't get their head out of their ass, you know. And it's like, mate, if only you just realise that I'm doing that. What I do is for the betterment of our bloodline. So what I've made peace with is I've stopped looking so much at the wider aspect of that. It's more like I'm just looking at my daughter now and my immediate circle and saying this is where the new generation begins for me. And it's like this is where I build it from. Because initially it was like, oh, you know, hopefully I can help heal everybody in the family, and then and then everybody elevates. But I just recognize none of them are growing. Everybody's just ignorant, and they just feel sorry for themselves, or they act like they're great. And it's like there's so many flaws. If you can't be honest with yourself, then nothing can be done. And I haven't got the time and energy for it. So people only latch on when they start to see a success. But by the time I see my success, I'm already on a new timeline, and I'm not going to slow down because other people need to cling on. That's not how it works. I've got too bigger calling to achieve in this life. Again, too many lifetimes in one lifetime. I don't have time to sit still. So you either ascend fast and stay with me, or you have to be left behind. And it's not personal; it's the journey. So if I'm here to have a big impact, I'm going to have that big impact. So like I write my books, I do my videos, I'm consistent. I share the journey on purpose for people to follow the trail after. But again, like, there's always going to be a jealousy, and there's always going to be skeptics. It's like it's not for me to give a shit about any of that. It really isn't, you know. And again, as a warrior of light, you're not always going to be pure light. You know, you're going to have that combative side that can speak up against things. Um, Otherwise, you're fragile, and I'm not a fragile person, so it bothers people because I can be abrasive as well. Um, Anyway, I'm just saying it as it is, and now we're going to hear someone else explain it a little bit because that's what I just saw, and I thought, well, that's a good video, and I've only touched on some things. You know, it's hard to cover every little thing in one thing. I've had issues left, right, and center with management in jobs because, you know, they talk down. I don't let people talk down to me. I don't like being told what to do. I never have. I had my stepdad said that to me a good few years ago before he passed. He said, your biggest problem is you don't like being told what to do. And straight away, I'm like, when did we normalize being told what to do? When was that a good thing? When was it a good thing? Someone ordering you about, like their decision matters more than our own decisions. It doesn't make sense to me. How can someone make a decision for me that's better than my own decisions? Why should I have to conform to what someone else thinks is more important or a better decision when I can see clearly that I can think better than this person? So I think I can lead me better than them. So why should I be told what to do? You know, too many people are sheep. They just follow the line and they act like they have to. And it's like, no, that's just an excuse. That's an excuse. You can have a harder life and do what you want, but it's up to you if you want to take that risk. I do. Again, that's the risk, isn't it? My financial situation. Again, I'm not looking for sympathy in any way. My financial situation has been precarious my entire life here. This isn't like just I've been struggling for a few years. I've struggled my entire life for money because my values are far higher than the currency of money. I just won't devalue myself. So I walk away from things that don't respect me, you know, or it doesn't serve a purpose. If it means I have to lose a lot of money in the process, then guess what? I'll be poor. I live it. I've been doing it my whole life. It's like I've come across people who are terrified of being poor. Literally, people I've worked alongside, they'd put up with toxic environments and conditions, and you just see this fear in their eyes that the absolute terror. They are just terrified of struggling financially, so they keep themselves in toxic situations, and they're really surprised when I walk away because I say to them, "I can't do this much longer. I'm trying, but I can't." And then they're shocked when I leave, and it's like I'll do that every time, you know. So yeah, I walk the walk. And again, that's just one side of it. I've been alone for goddamn 7, 8 years because, I feel I've met my counterpart, but they're on their healing journey. There's no guarantee it comes together, although I have a lot of confidence it does. I get signs and I have an internal feeling this is my person, so it's worth the wait. That means there's no point me being with the wrong person because that's just going to be more lessons and chaos anyway. And like I said in another video, like if you think about your perfect relationship, it should be your best friend. It should be your best friend. It shouldn't just be someone you find attractive and then you've got to put up with them every day and you don't even have like anything in common. It's like, what's the point of this? Because you're surrounding your every day just with someone attractive where you literally have nothing in common. So it's just stressful and boring apart from the physical stuff. It's like, that's just crap. I can't be around that. It's like, no, I'd rather be on my own in my own company then. It's like, it is a struggle and it gets really hard. It's tormenting as shit sometimes, you know? And that's the difference as well. You really have to go within when you're on your own. Look, if you've got someone with you all the time, you've got someone to bounce ideas off. And also when you struggle, you're not struggling alone. You're in it together. So you both bear the responsibility of it, which makes it a bit easier as well. So it really compounds on when you're solo, you know? And I don't think anyone will truly understand the solo living, apart from those that do live solo. You don't get your bills split. Your broadband bill isn't any cheaper. Your rent isn't any cheaper. Your food shopping is barely any cheaper. People make a thing about that. Our shopping bill's higher. That doesn't make a difference. If I buy a pack of pies, for instance, they still come in bulk. You can't just go, I want the one. A little. Like if I want a pack of tomatoes, it comes with 6. I don't need 6. It'll go off before I go through 6. And it's like I still have to have 6. If I buy rolls, for instance, let's say I fancy a burger, I have to have a burger for 4 days straight, otherwise it goes mouldy. People don't realize this. You buy a loaf of bread. Rarely do I go through an entire loaf of bread before it starts going mouldy. I can't eat that much bread. It's like, and it's nothing's set up for single people. It's all governed and set up for couples. So those that are on their own are almost forced into situations to be with someone, even if it's just for financial reasons. It's, So anyway, I go through a lot, but I also learn a lot, and then I share a lot. And that's really what it is. So like I say, I'm 41. I've had my nightmares, believe me. So it's going to be nice when I finally get my my happiness, my fairy tale, if you like. But even that doesn't come easy. Again, I'm just pointing it out. For me to get a career opportunity, let's say it's abroad, you have to take that leap of faith. It's easy for someone to sit on their arse and think, "Oh, I could do that." It's not that easy, is it, to put yourself in a foreign country, to sit in a foreign meeting and having to, I can see where it's going to feel intimidated at times, especially if you're in a room and you're on your own. You've got 5 people wearing suits. I'm not saying that's going to be the situation, but imagine it. It's like, and let's say you're poor. Let's say you're really struggling at that moment. You have all the faculties to be really wealthy and do well for yourself because it's like money doesn't represent your value. It's like I know how good I am at what I do, and I know I could literally do an awful lot in this lifetime if given the tools and opportunity. So me struggling for money doesn't mean that I'm not deserving of money. But you could be sitting in a room where you're really struggling and you don't even know you're going to get the taxi fare to the airport and all these things. And yet you expect to attend a meeting where you're really struggling, and yet you've got people in suits who are worth fortunes. That's going to be a bit intimidating on some level, isn't it? Because you've got to try and figure out the logistics of this just to manage to get there, let alone get home. And then you've got potential visa issues if you need to do. There's so many things. It's like the idea that it's easy, I think, is nuts. So let's say I got an opportunity and it was in another country and you had to go through all that, meetings, flights, blah, blah, blah. And then you decide, like, this is going to work and you can get a visa if you need one. Let's say you can do that. Now you have to figure out where you're going to live. It's a complete and utterly new lifestyle. And you have to make that home. And then maybe eventually you settle into it and you thrive, you do well at it. And then you're living a really nice life. And then people look on and think, that's so unfair. And it's like, that weren't easy though, was it? I think to transition and make it do well, that takes skill in itself. And maybe I can make it look easy. Maybe, like I've done everything else, I transmute. And I think that's the thing people miss, is that my journey is all about transmuting energy. So I take on the weight of situations so others don't have to. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking on the weight of the world in some ways. No, I'm not saying it, not over-exaggerating it or anything. It's just, if I overcome something and then I share it not just through my videos, but through my books, someone reads it, maybe they don't have to go through that. Maybe we can start avoiding that situation, let people empower themselves. And then by empowering themselves, we don't go down them dark places anymore. And now people find the value in themselves, and it's this societal change comes from it. That'd be really nice, won't it? And anyway, That's who I see it. But then I've got the people that judge me, for instance, either sitting on their arse or they just have a gossip party all the time, literally not amounting to anything in their life, let alone overcome the challenges I'm doing, or having even anywhere near the ambition I have to be successful. I pick myself up every day and I put myself in front of the camera every day and I focus on doing my books every year. I'm consistent with everything I do. I'm always answering to spirit, to source. I haven't mentioned them so much in this video, but you look at my last one, they're all over it with the cards I'm asking them. They're guiding me my entire journey. If they say to me, if I know they don't want me to do something, I won't do it. You know, if they want me to do something, I'm not even in the mood, I'll still do it. I'm at their mercy. You know, what they need me doing, I'm doing because we get this lifetime to do it. So whatever I'm called to do in this lifetime is what I will accomplish because I'm not getting to the end of this life, getting back to the end. And then you have that end of life review, and there's so much more I should have done and accomplished. Let's just do it. Let's just get it done. Even if I have to sacrifice and my life's hard, and I get frustrated because it's not fair. It's like, let's just get on with it, man. Let's just get on with it. And that's what I do. That's why I'm relentless. Anyway, I know people this far would have thought, oh, this guy's so up himself. It's like, I can't win. There's no winning with some people. Yeah, unless you're at the bottom and just stay at the bottom where people find you comfortable, you're a problem. That's for some people, that's what that is. You have to be struggling for people to find you comfortable. And guess what? I'm not going to keep myself miserable and dim my light just so someone else can find that acceptable. It's like, kiss my ass. If that's the perversion of me that needs to exist for someone to feel comfortable, then kiss my ass. You know, I'd rather you as uncomfortable than me, mate. You need to work on yourself or elevate yourself. I see that on other people's videos where someone says, oh, you're not famous or something. And the guy's got like nearly 1 million followers. And he's like, never said I was famous, but I have fans and people watch my content. And all I was thinking straight away is this guy's a dipshit. Why complain about what someone else's reputation is? Do something in your own life. If you've only got 10 followers, for instance, or you don't even create content, it's like you need to start pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. Try and do something that embraces your talent rather than sit and pick at someone else who's at least trying to do something every day. You know, too many people, they're just so self-defeating and then they just want other people to suffer. It's like, that's such a miserable existence and it's just pathetic. So effective, again, some people only find comfort in other people's misery and it's like mental. Some of us have refused to be miserable. It's a tough shit. Anyway, so that's the thing with me. I couldn't give a shit really deep down like what people think of me. I'd rather just create, and I don't even care if the whole world hated me. If people hate me because I shine a light on their insecurities and inadequacies, what do I give a shit? That's the whole point of what I'm doing. It's like get on with it. Get pissed off for a bit, and then maybe you'll have a moment where you go, wait a minute, I could do something about that. And I have that in my life where people get pissed off with me, and then I see them shift after, though. I won't get credit for it, and I never do. But I get to see them changing their life a little bit, and I'm like, well, I did a bit of that, didn't I? Don't like taking all the credit, but yeah, that was me. So anyway, so it's following on from my it's a Star is Born series, which I wasn't intended to do. It just happened. Now, that's not the name I wanted, A Star is Born, but it's the name I got from Spirit. So I use what they tell me. Again, I do what they tell me to do. If that's the title, that's the title. Right, let's just get on with this video now. I've had a lot of videos, of course. Look, you can see most of them are spiritual. We've got Archangel Michael. Jesus Christ. It's a bit loud. Made me jump off my seat. So let's watch this.
People can't stand you because
His video is 5 minutes, 55 seconds, 555. Just noticed. Mental.
Because you keep rising from the ashes, because you keep having comebacks, because you keep picking yourself back up after being knocked down. People can't stand you because of that. They expect you to fail. They expect you to be lost and confused forever. They expect you to be in a depressed state forever. And the thing is, you don't stay there. You continuously rise. You continuously become a better version of yourself. And people don't like you for that. People don't like you shining your light. As sad as it is, that's the reality of this world sometimes, is that sometimes people just can't stand you being who you are and rising from places that were meant to fucking break you. And the thing is,
I better say the thing is. That's interesting. I better say thing is. He's saying thing is. It's like the thing is when he says that, it's like, that only matters if I give a shit. You know, that's the thing. I just don't care. I've never have what people think of me. I think that's what sets me apart from people, you know. Too many people are influenced by the behavioral patterns for other people around them, and they seek validation. So they'll be like chameleons. They'll adapt to make other people like them. Whereas I force other people to adapt to get on with me. Otherwise, you don't like me. I just don't care. I'm not going to be anything other than myself, and I never have been. So what do I care? If someone doesn't like my personality or like who I am, it's like, what's that bother to me though? You just best stay away from me then, because it ain't. It's only going to get worse if you're in it. It's not for me to change, mate.
Is you don't even try that hard to freaking do it. You don't even try that hard. You're just being who you are. And that's why people can't stand it, because they are not true to themselves. They aren't true to themselves. They are wearing a mask. They're being fake in the world that suits them best in this fake world, I guess. And they try so hard to just keep things leveled for the bare minimum. They don't dare go after anything that you dare to go after, your dreams, your aspirations, even just like your feelings and stuff, okay? These people are afraid, and they're afraid of you. They're afraid of your light. They're afraid of what you have to offer to the world, okay? You are literally the phoenix. You're the phoenix. You rise from the ashes.
That's weird. In my head, the whole time he's talking, I'm like, the title of this video is going to be "Rising from the Ashes," because I said about the different lifetimes. I was going with rising from the ashes, and when he said the phoenix, I was like, oh, that's sort of what I said. Then when he just said you're literally rising from the ashes, I was like, no way.
Over and over and over again. And I know that this journey can be hard sometimes, and it can be unfair sometimes and unjust, right? But the thing is, sometimes it can just be very dark. This is the sun in reverse of the Nine of Wands. Sometimes it can just be so dark, like you just walk this path in the darkness forever, and it's like you feel alone a lot of the time. You feel like there's no one else that can resonate with you. There's no one else that can actually listen to what you have to say. And trust me, I know what you feel. And I'm just...
And that's something I talk about a lot. I talk about that a lot. I get fed up, because I get fed up that why is life got to be this hard? Why is no one ever meet me at it? Why is it like you have to be so alone sometimes? Because like I said, I won't change my values. I refuse to lower myself to have people around me. So sod that shit. I'll have to do it alone then. But he just gets frustrated that why can't anybody else elevate and lift themselves so they're on a similar vibration? Why has everybody got to be so low and sort of like feeling sorry for themselves all the time? Why can't anybody else just grow and ascend? It's a bloody nightmare. It's like, this is crazy. So effectively, if you think of it like a pyramid, if you're low vibrational, you can have a lot of people around you, because most of the people are of that ilk. You start elevating your life and start establishing more of a success story, more of a healing. I'm not talking about like being a success story in terms of like above someone and trying to do something to take away from someone else. It's nothing about that. I'm not like that. Like again, my books are there to help people heal. I don't gatekeep. I'm not trying to grow at someone's expense. I'm just trying to grow and be the best version of myself in this lifetime, of course. And it's like, it'd be nice if other people had the same ambitions. So then when you are around each other, it's effortless. It's not competition and things. But most people, again, are competitive. They want to bring you down to elevate themselves. And they might act like they're supporting you. But then as soon as it gets to a position where maybe it's like you or them, now all of a sudden there's no respect. Or if they get above you, now they look down at you. Because some people are like that. They get abuse of power. It's like stupid. I never got that. I never understood that. It's just ridiculous. You shouldn't need to abuse power. You shouldn't need to lord over anybody. You shouldn't need to do any of those things to feel powerful of yourself. Power of ourself is how it comes from our divinity. People drive me crazy sometimes. I'm trying to heal people, but they do drive me crazy at the same time, which is why I like to keep my distance and keep my personal space. I hate big crowds. I can cope, I can mingle, but for the most part, I hate big crowds. Too many different personalities and too much low vibrational mixed in with it. And there's always someone trying to be competing. And I can see, the thing about me is I see through most people. Most people I'll see through. And I'll know immediately whether I can trust this person, whether that one's got an agenda, and it's like, but you just notice it everywhere. You're like, I don't like these, but you can't trust any of these people. This person might have like the right idea, but they've got an ego, and you can see the ego on them. And it's like, I don't like this shit. I just want people that are freaking normal. Well, you're not ever going to meet normal people. It's frustrating.
Here to confirm that you are a warrior. You are God's warrior. You are a warrior of light. You have such a divine purpose here that, like, not a lot of people will understand. And I just want to let you know that it's so freaking important. Nine of Cups. You will get everything that you need. You will get everything that you desire in your highest good. Okay? You are doing such a good fucking job. I'm just hearing, like, all of your wishes are going to come true in this lifetime. And the reason why you've gone through all of these things is because that's what you're destined for. You're destined for greatness. You're destined for fucking greatness. And these people can't stand that. And they see you go through these hard times and they think of you as less than. They think that you are inferior to them. And just because you go through all of these dark times, these hard times, but they don't know what you are doing in the background. They don't know what you're doing.
What I would say is, I don't care what people think. You see me smiling there. Is what I would say is, I put myself front and center, and I share every part of the journey. So even if there's parts where people maybe ridicule you, it's like I still speak about it. I've been saying a lot of things over the past few years. I knew what was going to happen in the future, and I spoke about it at the time. I said it's like it's going to be the death of the influencers. I said that in the past, a couple of years ago. I said Hollywood's going to change. You're going to start having this bit where people start to see people beyond their masks, and it'll be a new wave of people that go to the front, people that are authentic with integrity, people like myself. So it's never surprised me that I'm going to have the platform eventually, because that's where the spirit's guiding me. And I'm watching everything get taken away from those other positions that existed before, because people are not interested in that superficial shit anymore. It's just about changing now, but it's took a little bit of a process. So when I'm on my journey, people thought I was nuts. People feel, oh, this is stupid. And when I make grand statements, they're thinking he's unhinged. Like the fact that he's thinking that. And now they're starting to see how it's making sense a bit more. It's like, but I always saw the vision from the beginning. I was just putting one foot in front of the other all the time. And it's easy for someone to think, oh, not this, not that. It's like, where do you put yourself in front of the camera and talk, though? It's not just talk nonsense. I don't just sit and turn the camera on and just talk shit and I hope that it makes some sense. I know what I'm talking about. And that's the difference, isn't it? I stand by my convictions. I talk publicly. I don't hide. I don't have a mask. I use my real name. Everything's authentic. I did it with the very first book. I put my face on the back of the book to make sure it's stamped. That's the level. It's easy for other people to sort of look on from a distance and have these little things they want to say. It's like they haven't stepped in those shoes. They wouldn't even know what it's like.
Behind the scenes. The thing is, you are freaking manifesting. You are manifesting the life of your dreams, and you know that it takes a lot of your old life crumbling in order for things to manifest in the right ways for you. And the thing is, they don't have the freaking balls to do that themselves.
So when he says the old life crumbling, sometimes you got to look and think, how good was the old life anyway? Again, you put the rose tinted glasses on at the first, don't you? So you think family for everything. Then you start looking at your family and thinking, wait a minute, this is as fun as it is sometimes when you talk to each other and you have a laugh. It's like, wait a minute, who's there supporting me when I need them? Who checks in? Oh, wait, they don't. Oh, right. So what do they do? Oh, they're comfortable when I'm struggling. They try to stop me from achieving anything because they always try to hold on to me when I know I want to do something. So they try to hold you back. You start to notice all these things. And then sometimes there'll be a little remark or a word they say, and it'll trigger in your head. You're thinking, oh, that's what you really think of me, is it? All right, I get you. I'm seeing it now. And your eyes start opening. And you think, maybe family isn't quite as strong and compatible as we think it is. So wait a minute, maybe it's more prudent for me to build my own family. And then you set the morals and the parameters from there. And I'm already doing it in my generation with my daughter, for instance. And she's incredible. And I get to witness it. And I'm like, this is just beautiful. It's the new beginning. It's the new generation. And she'll have her own journey. It's not just about me, of course. She's got her own journey. But I've given her the best footing to be able to go on her journey. She gets a lot of freedom with me, and I've implemented what I can, and I'm really proud of the results. Let's leave it there. And I watch on around the rest of the family, and I think this has been quite special on our side. It's just been quite special. Let's just leave it there. I don't want to sort of go criticizing people, but sometimes you have to let people go for the new, yeah, for sure. And I've done that. I'm ready to embrace that with everything because I don't want to live that life that they're living. That isn't interest. That's the thing with people. You get jealous, and it's like, yeah, but I wouldn't trade places with you. So it means that what I'm doing is I'm doing the right thing then, aren't I? I'm the one being successful then, aren't I? And what I'm doing that you judge me and maybe laugh at times is maybe it's starting to make sense to you now because you might be looking and stalking my shit, but I'm not looking and stalking your shit. And I wouldn't trade places with you for a moment. I definitely wouldn't. That'd be frustrating as shit to be living so low vibrational. That's not the life I want. I've climbed way away from that. It's not even comfortable to me, hence why I'm walking away from it. But the thing is, because I'm so high vibrational, they couldn't stand in my shoes either. They'd go back to toxic habits and self destruct. That's the thing, isn't it? Someone gets an opportunity when they're not ready, they'll destroy themselves because they can't handle it. Yeah, they have to wear masks. I'm just being me. So someone else in that shoes, because they're not ready, they wouldn't even be able to handle it, would they? So the truth would come out eventually if you put a mask on.
themselves. They don't dare disrupt what they have already built, even though it doesn't really satisfy them, even though it doesn't really bring them happiness. They can't do that. They can't sacrifice their old life for a new one that actually suits them, that actually will make them happy and fulfilled. You, on the other hand, are over here doing that type of work. So when you're getting confused about why your world is falling apart or why things aren't working out for you, it's because you're still crumbling down this old life that doesn't suit you in order to get the life that does suit you. Okay, that
And believe me, I get just as frustrated as everybody else. So, like, where the old is destroying, and you're waiting for the new to come in, but it takes a long process. It doesn't just like snap. Oh, today's better now. That's not how it works. It's a whole long process. You constantly get tested by the universe. And the other part of that is that it's hard to get your head around, but you just start figuring it out later. What did I say earlier? It's like people are not ready at your level, so you end up frustrated because you're stuck on your own. But that same applies for for the career aspect as well. It's like I might be ready, and maybe I'll do great given an opportunity, but the world needs to be ready for it, doesn't it? So I might have a message that could be delivered, and it'd be great for the right audience, but that audience needs to be ready to receive it. Otherwise, it falls on deaf ears, and people get defensive. So even if I'm ready, the world isn't ready. Likewise, if it might very well be that there's a platform or there's a career opportunity and that door's not open because whatever it is that hasn't been established yet, I'm just working too fast. So then you end up in this holding pattern, which is what I get into a lot, and I get really, really frustrated because I don't like repeating myself. I don't like sitting still. I just want to keep moving forward. Otherwise, what's the point? And it's like I get really, really frustrated in my circumstances. Like, why am I so alone? Why are my finances so freaking bad? You know, why am I not moving forward in career? You know, even when I try, I can't get views and things. And I know that's part of my journey, and they've put me in this position on purpose. So effectively, when I climb out of it, there's a story there to tell to show people perseverance. So all of these things are lessons, but it's not so fun in the middle of the bloody lesson. You know, and it's only going to be great when you get success, but there was no guarantee of success when you was in it. So let's say one day you're a millionaire and you're doing great things and you manage to you can help people. There'll always be people criticizing anyway. And like, I'm only doing this video as a one-off. I'm not going to do this shit all the time. I don't need to validate crap. But the point is, let's say you was doing well for yourself. There'll always be people that are like, jealous, and they'll say, "Oh, well, you know, of course you're going to put yourself in there if you knew you're going to get that." And because I'm spiritual and I get the signs, they'll take it as a given that I was always guaranteed anyway. It's like, yeah, but it's only guaranteed if I put the work in, though. Everything has to align. If I took an easy way out and I didn't put the work in, it's not going to happen, is it? Because I'm not at the vibration ready to receive. So it all goes round in circles. It's dependent upon my actions. And likewise, if I'm doing successful for myself, eventually I will look to help people because I want to start a charity and things if I was in a really privileged position. But then there'll be also times when I'm not going to broadcast everything because I don't think everybody needs a camera in their face when you do a good thing. People, it's like have respect for people. Let's say someone's struggling, they don't. Let's say they don't really want their story told. They just need some support, and you go and help them. Well, if they don't want it broadcast, you don't need to broadcast everything. So some people may be able to think, oh, you're just living a lavish life, blah blah blah, and they just yap for the rest of their life. Yap 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 yap. But what's that? What's it do to my life? Who gives a shit? You know, I'll do kind acts, and the people that I help will know I helped them. But I don't need to broadcast everything. But at the same time, I've been through enough struggle that I think it'd be nice to have a bit of luxury in my life. And I'm not going to sort of force myself to struggle, even when I could do well, because other people would be jealous of that struggle, of me doing well, I mean. So it's like, I don't give a shit what someone else thinks. Other people would be far more selfish given the similar opportunities if they come. And I think they would. The majority of people would. Because people are great at saying, I'll do this and do that, but I don't think they actually would. Whereas I practice what I preach, and I don't even have to. So, like, for instance, if I was to become wealthy in the future, I could hoard that and amass it, but what's the point? I talk about it a lot. Well, you can't take the money with you when you go. But I think there's also lessons to be had in life. I don't think you should just make it too easy for everybody, because then where's the lesson in it? The character I am now is a consequence of the life I've had. Now, the hope is that we can avoid that to an extent by teaching people, and then hopefully they can learn from the lessons. but they still have to go through tests to figure out whether they've learned the lesson. And I think if you just give, it's like, for instance, let's say I had family members and I had a load of money, and I think, it's not right. I don't know if they're struggling. Yeah, it's 10 grand. I'm just saying, in the instance that you've got a lot of money, you think someone who's low vibrational, who just parties all the time, could handle £10,000 in their pocket? You'd think in your heart, in your head, oh, it'll help establish something. Maybe they can invest it. They can probably do the wrong. If they're not ready for it, they're just going to waste that away and probably almost kill themselves on drugs. That's one side, and the other side is they just go and waste it all on other shit, and they still run out of money. And it's like, yeah, until you think someone could handle it, there's no point. People have to match the vibration, and that's what it comes down to. It's really hard to explain that to people who are low vibrational, because they know inherently that's going to be too much work. I need it now. What? Well, what is it? Are you putting the work? Do you want it enough to put in the work or not? So, and then maybe look at the person who's been really successful and think, if you won't even do that for 10 grand, think how hard that other person's had to work to make 1 million. Now, I'm not saying 1 million, but let's just say it is that, and then you get count, and then it's growing and growing and growing. You've had to become the best version of yourself to even get anywhere near that income. Come on, I think people just expect people to have it easy, or they think things come easy all the time. I've spoken about Taylor Swift before. Yeah, she's got money now. She didn't have money in the past. If you look at her story to an extent, I haven't followed her deep enough, but you look at her story enough, she's gone from a situation where she was ridiculed publicly. She took about a year and a half out while the world was like judging her. And I bet she was a massive wreck in that period because she's quite vulnerable. And then she rose like a phoenix, returned out of nowhere and stood up for herself. It started becoming like more of an icon for women, And and it's great, and it's empowering girls and women as well. And then she goes on this massive tour. She's making a fortune. Now, some people would be jealous that she's making a lot of money, whatever. But at the same time, that's not just falling into her lap. She's having to work her ass off. And you might think, oh, it's easy. I don't think it's that easy to travel the world, stay away from your family, and work the shift. Again, this is where people need to get out their ass and actually look reality. I can see people's work ethics, and I can appreciate it. I don't get jealous. I don't think, oh, why she got all that? Why can't she have all that? That's the point. It's up to her what she spends it on after, of course. And you won't see half the things she does, of course. But she works her ass off. And I've seen her on stage with some footage where she's out of breath because apparently her sets are quite long and they're quite exhausted with the moves she does and things. So it's like dancing. And I think that's the other thing. People just keep getting. I hate jealous people. I get really, really fed up with this low vibrational shit. I can recognize someone that's singing. So if someone that sings leaves themselves open to be judged, of course. And if you're a songwriter, especially like she is, people could judge the music. So you're having to put yourself out there and hope that it gets recognized and it's appreciated. That takes a level of vulnerability and ambition. So to step outside your comfort zone and do that with no guarantee of an outcome and believe in yourself no matter what, and even when life's hard, you keep pushing forward, which is what she's shown. That's admirable, isn't it? I think that's incredibly admirable. So then you go on stage in front of all these people, and that's a lot of pressure because you want to make people happy, and you definitely don't want to feel like a failure. So there is a vulnerability in that as well. There's a lot of vulnerability in all of it. So then you've got to go and perform because you can't just stand there and sing because it'd be boring for people. So you've got to be lively. So as you're lively, it can affect your vocals as well. And imagine how exhausted, how fit you have to be to do that. And meanwhile, you're traveling around, constantly traveling the world. I just think how exhausting that shit would be. And it's like, I don't think most people look at that at all. I think they just see numbers and why they sit on their ass, picking their ass, doing nothing. And that's the sort of people that do, though. It's the ones that can't are the ones that moan. And it's like, get off your ass and try and do something. If you're going to have that level of pettiness towards other people's success, it's like you've got to look at your own life and say, look, have you pushed yourself outside your comfort zone? No one's saying you don't work hard because maybe you go to work and you do a job you hate, but maybe you've got to challenge yourself to maybe how much would you risk to be really successful in your own happiness? Of course, it's not about the money. If we're talking about me, for instance, I've done that. I've walked away from jobs that don't serve me. I've left myself poverty for the majority of my life. Most people don't take that risk, and that's the thing. They'll act like they work hard. They work hard. That's all they'll say. I work hard. Yeah, but you're scared shitless to not. How much would you sacrifice for your happiness? And yeah, struggling isn't nice, but you get your freedom. And then you give yourself opportunities to figure out what you really want to do. And then you start to realize you can live on less. You don't need so many things. But it gets frustrating when you don't have those things, of course. But again, these are lessons for people to learn. It's like you can't do it for them. But if you want to have the bare minimum all the time, then just keep doing the jobs you hate. And don't expect anything to change, because your employer won't pay you any extra money. You won't be treated any better. You'll always be taken advantage of. You'll get to your deathbed with so much regret and spite and hate. And it's like you had the same opportunity as everybody else to step outside that bubble. Up to you if you want to do it. But like I say, Taylor Swift, she took herself away for a year and a half, I think it was, while she collected herself and figured out what she wants to do. Again, I'm not here to validate anything to anyone, and I'm definitely not going to go down a path of doing this shit. I'd like to share some of the videos because I hope it helps inspire people to see the sort of signs I receive. And it maybe they'll start getting some signs. Now, I don't know how many signs other people get. All I know is my own path. And sort of my daughter, for instance, because I hear her journey too. But the average person, I don't know, because I don't live their life. I'm not at their vibration, you know. And again, it goes down to this full circle. Our spirits are just different levels, our soul. And when we go back, we'll fall back into line wherever we are in the astral realm, in the hierarchy. And some of us, I believe, and I'm not just giving myself status, but some of us, I believe, are here as very high light beings, whether it's angels, whatever rank it is. And we've come here to establish some positive change on Earth, and then we'll return back. But it was always going to be the case, wasn't it? That anybody that comes down with a higher purpose is going to be challenged. I think if Jesus was walking amongst us, he wouldn't be appreciated. So people keep saying, I can't wait for Jesus to return. How would you even know he's there? You'd only know by an energy, but there'll be people that hate that energy because he would seem too pure, too righteous. So what could you do? It's like people wouldn't even believe it if he was amongst them. So what chance does anybody else have? It's just crazy, isn't it? I think people just need to look in the mirror and just think what it is they actually want in their life, and stop hating on other people who are trying to do things for them, for the good as well.
Where all of your manifestations can come into fruition. Literally, like, these people, man, Six of Pentacles. So that you can be the most abundant version of yourself. So that you can be the most balanced version of yourself, okay? I just hear that, like, the Six of Pentacles is all about giving, right? And it's all about, like, genuine service and giving, right? So it's like, I just feel like there's people in the past that gave to you, but they didn't really, like, mean it. It wasn't genuine at all. But you are a genuine person. So when you get there, when you get your fulfillment, when you get your abundance, there's no doubt that you're gonna be a freaking beautiful person, and you're gonna use that money or abundance, whatever it is for you, for the better, for the good of all. Like, you're gonna be giving back to people so freaking much, okay? Queen of Cups, because you have a freaking huge fucking heart, okay? I know that I'm speaking to a very, very beautiful person right now, right? That goes to the darkness, but confronts their darkness and transmutes it into light. Okay, one more card. Justice. Period. Your justice, you will get justice in your life. Okay, confirmation. You're getting your justice. You are getting your justice for everything that you've been through. All those dark nights that you have been up in your head worrying about whether or not your life is going to transform in a better way, that's going to change for the best, literally is coming in. Okay, it will happen. Your justice is right around the corner, I'm hearing. Keep going. This message just needed to get out. Keep going on your journey. You are so close to so many blessings in your life. Eliminate the doubt in your life. 555 on the timer. Eliminate that doubt so that these blessings can come into your life, okay? I love you so much.